Welcome everyone to Reckless Speculation.
Live
again,
from the Motor City, all the way to the Volunteer State. It's time for the Reckless Speculation Podcast, where we recklessly speculate the latest news in the world.
That didn't go as planned, so. And go. You're on.
All right. Welcome, everyone.
My apologies.
To Reckless Speculation. This is our pre-Super Bowl edition. This is our, I think, third or fourth week of doing this new format. It's an hour window. So either drink for an hour, walk for an hour. If you're an overachiever, run for an hour. Listen to the podcast. We will keep you entertained. The four of us will be drinking for an hour, but hey, don't let that persuade you one way or the other. I'm joined by Tom Sloan in Detroit, Brandon Shane in Nashville, Raj Mehta in Chattanooga, and I'm in Chattanooga also. We are going to be hitting on the chaos that was a trade deadline in the NBA today. We are going to be hitting on some prop bets that we like for the Super Bowl. We are going to be hitting on kind of in our pre-show meeting what we kind of thought was a nice little Andy Reid kind of just intertwining theme of the Super Bowl. And then finally, we're going to be hitting on the Super Bowl itself, who we like, what we want to bet. And then we're going to be finishing off with our Bet Your Nuts and also some get rich parlays or prop bets, and then some what we're actually going to put our money on. Before I ask everyone how they're doing, I'm going to tell you how I'm doing. It was a rough night last night for the Tennessee basketball team, who lost inexplicably on the road to Vanderbilt. And I'm having to, as the season goes on and on, having to eat my words more and more to Raj, who is anti-nerds and Ken Palm and that thing. And he's starting to be more right than I am, and it's really irking me. But that's how I'm doing. With that being said, Tom, how are you doing this evening?
It's good. Just wrapped up the last day of the week. Unfortunately, I work Sunday through Thursday. The wackadoodles don't take days off at LinkedIn, so I got to be there to bust out that bad content. But yeah, doing well. Excited about the upcoming weekend, and excited to talk a little bit NBA trade deadline, as we will today, and lots of moves. Unfortunately, none good by my Pistons, but hey, such is life, right?
Yeah. Raj, how about yourself? Thanks for being on time tonight.
Technically, I don't think I was. I think I actually, since you were late and you couldn't figure your own shit out, oops, I don't care if I'm allowed to say that. It just looks like I'm early. But no, I'm stoked, man. The Super Bowl's this weekend. Side note, am I the only one that is more excited about the playoffs up until the Super Bowl and then thinks the Super Bowl is sort of a formality? That was rhetorical, and the trade deadline was just wacky. And like you said, college basketball is getting good. So it's kind of do or die for some of us bubble teams. So I'm pretty excited, dude. It's fun stuff.
Yeah, it's a really great time of the year for the sports calendar. I wasn't late trying to get my stuff going on. I was just on the Ken Palm hotline being like, hey, you got to help me out here. Chain, man, how are you?
Good, man. Doing good. Little solo dad this week. Wife's traveling, so trying to juggle work and being a solo dad, which is been doing it for a while. So I'm a pro at this, a veteran by now. But looking forward to tonight's topics for sure. Been kind of crazy with the NBA, and we got some good prop bets coming up.
Yes, we do. And before we get started, just a quick update on our fearless leader, Randall. He is still in good spirits. He is still recovering. He was with us for a segment, I think last week or week after, Runs Together, but he still doesn't have a face. Not that he ever had a face for a camera, but he's still recovering to get to that stage. But he's in good spirits. We keep up with him regularly, and he appreciates everyone's support and following. And with that being said, I know everyone hates to hear this, but we have to like, subscribe, please. It really helps. We're trying to grow our following. It means the world to the four of us. It truly means the world to Randall. So please do that if you can. And any words you guys want to share, comments, Randall is watching, and so he will see those. But thank you. And without further ado, we will get started. So the NBA trade deadline. Before we get to, so what I think is fascinating is the Nets just debacle of what they tried to do and failed miserably. Before we get to that though, look, the biggest fish in the pond changed teams, and he went from not only one conference to the other, but a team that was either last year or 2 years ago up 2-0 in the finals before they got beat. They add KD to this team. Raj, I'm going to start with you. What does this make the Suns, and what does this look like for the West?
You'd have to be hard pressed not to think the Suns are the favorite. They've played without Jay Crowder for quite a while, and I like Mike Hillbridges a lot. The reason why I bring those dudes up is that I say this all the time. Just like as we saw in Brooklyn with their philosophy to get Kyrie a shoot first point guard, Durant and Harden, there's only one basketball. And with the Suns having Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, although technically two different positions, they're really hybrid 2s and 3s. You could put Durant at the 4 if you want to, depending on your spacing in the offense, but I digress. There is only one basketball there. And if they didn't have CP3, I would predict an exit. But having the best point guard in the league, the best pure point guard in the league, the best pass first for the sake of the team point guard, it makes them the favorite for sure. And, I'm hard pressed to find anyone else that is going to be expected, that we expect more from. It does hurt losing Cam Johnson and like I said, Michael Bridges, or Mike Hall as I call him. But with Paul, Booker, Craig, Durant, I thought they'd move Ayton, but they kept him. Not a great second unit, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, they're the favorite. Well, that, and I love what Milwaukee did.
Yeah. So to me, and what you talk about the one basketball and all that, and that's all valid points. But to me, this reminds me exactly of that Golden State team he walked into. Like, look, you've got scorers, you've got ball handlers. But if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm still the best player. And when you need a bucket, no one can stop me. And isn't that same mentality going to translate to Phoenix, or shouldn't it?
Yes, but Jay Crowder was Draymond, and you need a guy that is team pass first, that's tough, that's going to pick up everyone, that rotates well, that thumps, that boards, and they don't quite have that. But I agree, it's a very similar fit, and Durant's no dummy either, and I'm sure he had a part, albeit probably minor, in he's outspoken, so nobody wants him on their bad side, really, because he'll whine about it.
And the other thing I want to touch on briefly while I have you on the screen is the ownership change. Like, this went from a cheap, allegedly racist, misogynistic owner to now a guy comes in and says, hey, I've owned the team for 12 hours. We're going for it right now. I mean, what does that show you?
Yeah, it kind of sucks, but it kind of shows you that, and hear me out, that if your franchise blows, hope your owner is racist, because you're going to get a brand new owner. I mean, the Clippers got like one of the top 15 richest dudes in the world, and look at them now. They were just a laughing stock for years. And, the Suns became competitive. They still couldn't get past the hump. And they really should have won it all, in my opinion, that year that Steph was out a lot. But it seemed like it happened with the snap of the fingers. Not just the sale, but they're competitive, and it's crazy.
So what we're saying is the Washington football team is going to win the Super Bowl in 2 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Tom, I'm going to go to you. Talk about what you thought. We were all, at least I was asleep. I assume you were asleep whenever you heard the news. I woke up to several text messages about this news. What'd you think? And then follow up with what you think about your Pistons and how they did on the trade deadline.
Well, fortunately, I'm not a very good sleeper. So at about 4:55 a.m., phone lights up. I look, who is it? It's Robbie. I'm like, what is Robbie doing texting at 5 o'clock in the morning? So that's when I found out. So to say I'm not surprised. Matt Ishbia, who is now the new owner of the Phoenix Suns, who is the owner basically of United Wholesale Mortgage, which is the number one housing lender in the country. So he's really flamboyant. So you knew he was going to come at this with a big splash. And like you said, the biggest fish was Kevin Durant. And allegedly, when he signed ownership, the commissioner said, "Hey man, you're like one guy away from making noise." And he kind of took that as a challenge and went and apparently, from what I read, he kept pushing and demanded and he didn't care what it took. And that's kind of his mentality. That's why how he runs his business. He's got 8,000 people that are in his building in Pontiac, Michigan, which he basically bankrolls that city. But and so it doesn't surprise me. And as far as the Pistons go, it really is a sad state of affairs. When
Tom, let me hear. Is this the group, the Michigan State guards that?
Yeah, he was with Izzo when he won his first national championship.
Yes, it's the guard.
He I don't know.
I remember reading about them in Sports Illustrated.
I don't think he got a lot of playing time, but he was on the bench, and he's one of the biggest reasons why he was one of the big donors to bring in Mel Tucker to the football program. And he's made lots of donations to Michigan State University, and he has been wanting to break in to a professional team for a long time.
Yeah.
There's kind of a competition here with Gorez and the Illich family. So, him getting the Phoenix Suns, he gave up a lot. And like Rich Jasper said, I agree, he gave up the farm. So it's a win now mentality for the Suns. If they don't win, I think, and I'll pardon the pun here, he mortgaged, Dan Gilbert. You're right, Rich, but he mortgaged the future of the franchise to win now. So he better hope so. But, like I said, as far as the Pistons go, there's a lot of question marks. Troy Weaver came in about 2 seasons ago and made a lot of noise, cut a lot of dead weight. But he hasn't been able to pull the trigger on cutting the coach. And for whatever reason, he brings in this young talent. They're athletic. They've had good draft picks, but they just cannot put it together. And QB1's Atlanta Hawks getting Sadiq Bey. He's an athletic player who can shoot the three. He can drive the lane. But my biggest question mark is, why would the Pistons why would they move a guy who's only in his third year for somebody basically that's hurt a lot, only averages 6 points per game? So my only theory is that he's looking at, a possible max contract that the Pistons just aren't going to pay. They're not in position to pay. So to say I'm disappointed in the Pistons, I've been disappointed in the Pistons since Rasheed Wallace let Robert Rory shoot a free 3-pointer in the 2005 NBA Finals. So
yeah, and so as we change over to Brandon, I just want to read, like we talk about mortgaging the future and all this, and you giving up 4 first-round draft picks. Look, the Warriors just traded their second overall pick for, I don't think, especially in basketball where free agency and the players have so much power, there's only one LeBron James every generation. I don't care about first-round draft picks that much. Especially if I'm in a destination city like LA, the Knicks suck, but New York or Chicago, even Phoenix, I don't care about giving those draft picks. What do you think, Shane?
No, I totally agree. If you're not a top 5 lottery pick, team at that point, I mean, the rest of the draft almost doesn't matter. I mean, you can get some guys in G League that are just as good as anybody that you could draft. So I don't. It doesn't carry near as much weight as NFL draft picks. Let's put it that way. So, I mean, NBA is so fluid and people are moving, obviously, almost daily now. So it really doesn't matter that much. It sounds like a lot, but
and not to interrupt, Kevin Durant was the number 3 draft pick. He's playing on his 4th team already.
That's the thing. And that you brought up a good point, which I was going to touch on. There's something going on. Like KD, he's got all the talent in the world, right? Like he's one of the best scorers we've ever seen in basketball. But why can he not make it work with a team? Like there's some internal issues going on. I don't know if it's locker room or he's such a prima donna. I don't know what it is, but he continues to bounce around and try and find his way. I mean, and he's been on some stacked teams where, I mean, should have made a career and never left. So I don't understand that whole deal. The positive note on that is this is probably the first real point guard that he's actually getting to play with in Chris Paul, who is one of the best point guards in the game and facilitates just so well. So I'm anxious to see. I predict Chris Paul is going to take a little bit less, points per game role. He's really going to, his assists are going to kick up. He's going to really facilitate this game here, really QB it. And, if KD starts doing what he does and whines, I mean, this could be an early exit. But, they are definitely the favorites. But if on the flip side, you look at the East, this is an easier road for the Celtics now. I mean, the Nets just blew up. The Celtics, they're my pick to win it all right now because, I mean, everyone's kind of all up on the Suns and the Western Conference. And I really like the Celtics and what they're doing right now. And this has definitely opened up the door.
Yeah, and Brendan, you brought up a great point, and I think it's one that's not touched on enough. Like, is there something just off with Durant? Like, he's like that guy that likes to play basketball. Like and the stories are told, like he plays every day. He'll go back to New York. He'll just go to DC. He'll play street ball. He loves playing the game. But is he that competitive? Like if you're just always like that much better than everyone else, and it's never really been that much of a struggle. I like being better, but I'm not necessarily competitive.
Yeah, I mean, there's no Mamba mentality in that guy. Yeah, for sure.
And now moving on, Raj, I'll bring you in here on this one first. So let's talk about the Nets and you as a Laker guy. So I'll tell you what my first thought was. So I was thinking this morning, like my first thoughts were, what does this compare to? What is this kind of debacle compared to? And my first thought, I was trying to think back. I thought about when Gary Payton and Karl Malone joined Shaq and Kobe. But then I was like, but they made the finals. I was like, they lost to a hot Pistons team. So that's not even comparison. This team over 3 years won one playoff series. This is a debacle of epic proportions. I can't think of anything like this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, dude. And those Lakers, yeah, they got dudes that were past their prime, but they were free agents that they signed. The Nets mortgaged their future. I mean, case in point, one of the winners today who didn't even get a player was the Houston Rockets. And they got a first, I think, a swap for Eric Gordon in that deal from the Clippers, which is probably the only bad thing the Clippers did. And that's not bad, but I mean, minus. But the Rockets, because of Harden, have the Brooklyn Nets first round picks in 2024 and 26. They're straight up first, and swaps in 2025 and 27. So in addition to the Rockets crappy Rockets high draft picks, they now get the crappy Nets high draft picks. So I agree that first round picks are often overrated. It's kind of a crapshoot after, the top 5, in my opinion, roughly speaking. But the Nets are going to suck for a while. They've got no draft capital. They really can't do anything. And their draft picks are going to Houston. So it's conceivable that the Rockets could have like 1 and 2 in 2024 and 26, and then 1 and swaps for, very high in 25 and 27. So this team is screwed, is my point. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, like they bet it all on these 3. They played. Gosh, I heard an outstanding number or an astonishing number. 19 games in 3 years together, and they went 16-3.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
So you look at these 3 personalities, right? You got Harden, you got Durant, you got Kyrie. They are super talented in basketball, and they're really good at what they do. But there's something to be said about the locker room and the karma and being a team player, because I don't care how much you score or how good you are, it takes the whole team to win it. And you got to have some help. And these guys continue to bounce around, and they build these super teams, and, they've been on the same team here and there, and it's not working. They're not winning. And these are supposed to be the best guys in the NBA, top 5, 8 people in the NBA, and it's just not working. So obviously there's more to the story there. And it just seems like it's a distraction to have them on your team more than help.
And looking back on it now, hindsight's 2020. I'm not sure you could pick 3 worst players to be together. Honestly, you have James Harden, who's lazy but talented. Kyrie, who is just selfish and ignorant.
Shoot first.
And then KD, who's just like, yeah, just give me the ball. I'm not a leader. I'm great, but I'm not gonna help anyone else be great. I'm just great by myself.
Right.
All right. So before we move on from the NBA, I know Raj is dying to talk about the Lakers. So Raj, tell us, the Lakers, they made some moves. They got LeBron some help. They traded Westbrook out, which is going to help the ball flow and help some people score. What do you think about their trade deadline moves?
Dude, it was very refreshing. To get rid of Russ, they're paying him $47 this year, and just still freakishly athletic, but not a great team guy. Andy can't shoot, minor detail. But I was thinking about the additions. They added D'Angelo Russell, who's whatever. People say that's the marquee name. No, he fits in better than Russ, but he's an unrestricted free agent, and I don't want to pay him. I'd much rather pay a guy like Fred VanVleet, who's way better on both ends and a pure point. But getting Malik Beasley, young, Jared Vanderbilt, who I'm stoked on, the 23-year-old Kentucky guy that, if you remember him from a few years ago, love that dude, a defense team guy. They just added Mo Bamba, who they got rid of Thomas Bryant, who some Laker fans that don't know basketball are complaining about. But Bryant, I read, allowed 72% field goal percentage in one-on-one situations. Just a horrible defender, and he only had big numbers when AD was out. AD is often out, but the Lakers need spacing, and they got that. They got guys that can shoot like Beasley and Russell. They got more mobile bigs. And, don't forget about Rui Hachimura. And they got rid of dudes that, like, get the spotlight for the wrong reasons, like Pat Bev and Russ. And Damian Jones's contract, the center, gone. So for the first time in years, I'm happy, and all Laker fans should be happy. They've got something that resembles a team. And while they're not going to win it all, they're going to be much better and tougher to beat.
All right. So Brandon, speaking of the Lakers, Brandon, going to you. LeBron broke the all-time scoring record. There's a lot of GOAT talk. I think we've talked about this many a times, or at least hinted at it and all that kind of thing. You said you watched it live. What'd you make of it, and what does it change, if anything?
We all knew he was going to hit it eventually. I mean, look, let's not take anything away from LeBron, the longevity that he's had. People use that as a knock on him, but look at the level he's competing at, and he's still, a top 5, top 8 guy in the NBA at this level at 38 years old. So that's an incredible feat in itself. And it was cool. I did not like the pausing of the game and doing the whole celebration right there, like in the middle of the third quarter, like 10 seconds left. Like, save that for after the game. That's just my personal opinion. I know sports do that, but I mean, all these other players, you're trying to win a game, and then on top of that, they come out and they lose the game, which is just like, I'm gonna always forever connect that to LeBron's breaking the record, as they had this ceremony and they lost the game, like in the middle of the game. So that's just me. Yes, it's a big deal, but at the same time, like, play the game, get it over with, then do your celebrations and stuff after. Try and win the game, because they're 2 games back of being in the last playoff spot. I mean, they're 13th in the West right now. I mean, that was a big kind of turning point game, I think. So I don't know. It's great. LeBron is forever going to be in the GOAT talk. Personally, he's not my GOAT, but everyone's got a debate on that, and he is one of the greatest players we've ever seen, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't watch it live. There must have been a UT basketball. I must have been watching something else going on that I didn't. They didn't have my attention. I didn't watch it live. I saw the replay. I saw the celebration. I kind of agree with you. Like, maybe a short pause and acknowledgement, and then move on and wait till after the game. The whole, like, fans coming onto the court, and I saw a funny picture, which was the epitome of this generation nowadays. It shows LeBron stepping back, shooting his fadeaway, and everyone has their phones out except Phil Knight. Yeah,
he's sitting right there with his arms crossed, like, watching it. And that's how it was, like, when the famous shot with Jordan, in the final. So
it's a conversation for different times. I do think LeBron's the greatest of all time, but I always had Magic above Jordan, and I think LeBron's a better version of Magic, and so that's
he's a hybrid. He's a hybrid of Jordan and Magic.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I don't know how you can't say that's not the best of all time.
Man, it's just another time.
Raj, quickly to you. You're the Laker fan. What were your thoughts when LeBron broke the record? And wait, before that, is LeBron a Laker for you?
He is now.
Yeah.
No. He'll always be a Cav. He grew up in Akron, and that doesn't mean we don't embrace him. And he broke. It's fitting that he broke this record in LA. It's fitting that his jersey is going to go up with the greatest collection of jerseys in basketball history.
Wait. Let me interrupt you for a second. For people that don't know Southern California, the Lakers are it. Like, like, there's the Dodgers and the Lakers, but when the Lakers are great, they're they've always been the Showtime. Everyone loves the Lakers. And
100%. And if people,
it is what Southern California is. And so when I said, hey, he's not a real Laker, you knew what I meant, but some people may not.
Yeah, absolutely. That being said, like I said with Cleveland, that's a smaller town. There's a hometown kid. The Lakers aren't about that. There could be a million great hometown kids from an area as big as Southern California. It's just about rocking the purple and gold and what you do and being a leader and repping LA. And, the fan base is so big. It's the biggest in the world. If people are ignorant enough to say, oh, well, it's not full, halfway through the first quarter, one, welcome to LA. Two, it's like a Hollywood premiere down there. Look at the 300s in Staples, and you have the most hardcore fans in the world. My mom watched basketball in the 80s, and that's how she learned, by watching the Lakers, because everybody watched the Lakers. There's so much pride with them when they're good. About the record itself and stopping the game, I went to Magic's retirement ceremony. I remember Kareem. I was 8, but I remember that's one of the most venerable all-time records ever in sports. Hank Aaron, dudes running on the field and more or less stopped the game for that. I don't think people understand the significance of that. And yeah, it would have been nice to win the game. And from that standpoint, it sucked because Oklahoma City is right above you in the standings. However, it's right before the trade deadline. The Lakers were going to be very different. They were talking to thousands of teams. And that record had been hanging over his head and the team's head for a long time, like the chase, pursuit. So he was going full tilt, shoot first, which LeBron does not do. He is a basketball player. And when people don't understand why you think Magic is such a great player and LeBron, that's why, because they are phenomenal team talents that can play all 5 positions well and still are pass first, can take over, just change the game. And yeah, they gave up that many points because he had to score, and it was back and forth. The Lakers wanted to get that record out of the way. And it's an amazing record. They were going to stop it. You saw the Nike commercials. They talked to Rihanna and everybody in the world and Bill Clinton. It's a big deal. And on top of that, yeah, I was up. It was 1:30. And, it wasn't ABC Sunday afternoon. And they all knew that. It was TNT. That's exactly what they should have done. It's an amazing record. Yeah, it stunk they lost. But if anybody, Shane, no disrespect, but if you associate that record with losing 1 game to Oklahoma City in February, then your priorities in basketball are way out of line. And I do know a few good therapists. But, yeah, don't look at that and focus on that as an unnecessary detail or emphasis. It was going to happen. Just look at his career and his effect and how he's changed the game. And the fact he's 38 and still phenomenal, athletically as gifted as, nearly he was 20 years ago. It's remarkable.
LeBron is, I think, 6 months younger than me, and I struggled on the treadmill for 30 minutes yesterday. So, yeah. All right, Tom, so we're going to switch gears a little bit. We are getting finally into the Super Bowl. We talked in our pre-show meeting about Andy Reid and what this kind of dynamic means to him, which is to say, if he wins, maybe he's validated for getting fired from Philadelphia. If he loses, though, Philadelphia's won 2 with 2 different coaches without him and 2 different quarterbacks. So what is this? What if you're Andy Reid? What are you thinking right now?
I mean, I think you got to believe he's looking at this as, the game. He wants to win. He feels he has to win. But in reality, I think he's already a Hall of Fame coach. He's already got a Super Bowl. What he's been able to do with multiple teams, doing what he did in Philly, got him right to the edge and just couldn't get over the top. I don't know if that was necessarily his fault. But then, taking a risk, because when they drafted Mahomes, they had Alex Smith. Alex Smith had one of the best seasons of his career. And then the next year it was like, okay, we're running with this guy, and it's been successful ever since. So I think in his eyes, this is a game he wants to win, no doubt about it. I think between his past with the Eagles, his family situation that he's gone through in the last couple seasons. So this is kind of the culmination of it all coming together. So in his eyes, this is the game. But I think in the grand national scheme of things, he's already a great coach. If he doesn't win this game, I don't think that's going to make him any less. But it makes for great talk radio. They got to fill 2 weeks somehow, and the fact that Andy Reid, who let's face it, he hasn't coached in Philly in quite some time, so that luster may have run off. But obviously, playing his former team in the Super Bowl makes it all the more hyped up, we'll say. So, but like I said, in his eyes, he's probably looking at this as the biggest game maybe of his career. But in a national sense, he's already a Hall of Fame type of coach.
But I'll disagree with you a little bit, because it's like who fired you, right? Like I've lost one trial in my career, and I know who I lost it to, and I know why I lost it. And if I ever get a chance, I'm going back. I'm gonna hit that brick wall running.
Yeah.
And like you as much as you say it doesn't matter, of course it matters. Like
I said, in his eyes, and like you said, you want to get that other attorney that you lost to.
Yeah.
Sound the alarm, by the way. You've only lost one. Oh, watch out! Table for one, Robbie coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's looking at Jeffrey Lurie like, I want to win, and I want to win big. Just a little nanner, but we'll see.
So I wonder if Andy Reid's going to come out tight. That's what I wonder. If he's going to get away from his game plan.
I doubt it. He's a cool customer, and I don't ever see him lose composure as far as his game plan goes. He kind of sticks to the script, we'll say. He's got talent all around, so what they're going to do, and it's just a matter of execution. And Kansas City's has proven they're one of the best in the NFL as far as executing plays, picking, coming up with plays out of nowhere, improvisation. So I don't think there's any worry about him kind of tripping up.
Channing, we'll go to you. What do you think about this Andy Reid storyline? Is there anything to it, or is we just making too much of it?
Yeah, it's good banter back and forth, good for the radio. But man, he's got an incredible career, and win or lose this game, I mean, look at what he's done with Philly. He had 5 divisions, 2 NFC championships, 1 Super Bowl. KC's got 6, 4, and 1. I mean, his record speaks for itself. So, and he's got Mahomes, and I don't think he's going to lose composure. I mean, if you just look at the State Farm commercial where he's drawing mustaches on people, I mean, that's the character. That's the real Andy Reid. Like he's a cool, calm, collected, cutback guy.
Well, let me ask you this: as someone who deals with idiot fans a lot, if Andy Reid wins 5 AFC championships or 3, whatever it's been, and only 1 Super Bowl, has he underachieved? And isn't it just like, well, can't we get someone better in here than them?
No, I mean, you're speaking of the times of what have you done for me lately, and people have to realize
the Eagles would be the prime example of this is what we did, and we just won 2 because what we just did that.
No, I understand, but it's very far and few between when that happens. I mean, it takes a lot to win a Super Bowl, a lot of luck, a lot of health, like to get 1 or 2 or 5. That's an incredible statistic. But
I think the most incredible feat in sports is the Bills going to 4 in a row.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, And then, of course, the whole Patriots dynasty, I don't know if we'll ever see that again in NFL. But, yeah, getting here time after time, giving the team shots at it, that's pretty incredible. So win or lose a Super Bowl, but going consistently for the most part under Andy Reid. There's nothing bad you can say about the guy. He's phenomenal. He's one of the best coaches we've ever seen do the game.
Oh yeah, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
It's just I'm just talking about the impatience of fans, and they say, "Hey, we can get the next young guy and do better." Well, that's not necessarily true.
It's yeah, you can't. It's a product of society, and you see that with players all the way, personnel to coaches. It's what have you done for me lately? 1 or 2 years and you're out. Which is, who are you going to get better? It's, we had the whole talk with Tannehill and the Titans. That's for another day. But they're just not just Mahomes sitting around on the bench waiting to be picked up by the next team. So,
that's right. All right, boys. Raj, we're going to start with you. We're talking about some prop bets. Give me your. So we're doing a top 3 that you'll actually bet on, and a get rich prop bet.
As you know, I've been traveling this week. There were a couple that I like, and it will kind of go into my preview. My number 1 and my get rich, if I'm interpreting this right, is Jerick McKinnon receiving yards over under, I think it's 22.5 or 23. The reason why is that Mecole Hardman is on IR, and he is the guy that Chiefs love to get the ball to out in space and grab yak. If you look at McKinnon's yardage without Hardman, it's like twice as much. He generally eclipses 20 easy without Hardman, I believe. I have the statistic, but I can't find it in my brain right now. But long story short, I expect a big day from McKinnon catching the ball. Pacheco as well, but definitely Jerick McKinnon, who is a yak specialist. The other thing that has great odds, and not only for receiving yards, but also for a touchdown, which is crazy, is the Kansas City tight end, the backup tight end, Gray. What's his first name? Why can't I think of it? Noah Gray. So when the Chiefs do a lot of 13 and 12 personnel, which for those that don't know, 13 is, and they're going to do that a lot this week, and they love to do it in the red zone, especially. 1 running back, 3 tight ends, and you're going to see that a lot. And Gray, when they do that, ends up catching the ball quite a bit. Again, the statistics escape me. But when they do that, his percentage over 10 yards is basically, it's more often than not. And they're going to do that all day. That's one way to beat Philly and one way that KC is most effective is 2 and 3 tight end sets and basically putting Kelsey in motion all over the place. And Gray has been the beneficiary of that. And so I think he'll get more than 10 yards. That's the prop I saw. And, I'm even going to throw a little bit down on Noah Gray scoring a TD. It was plus a lot. I don't know if it was 5,000 or 500, more than 500. But those are the 3 I'm really, really thinking about. I know another fun one is the national anthem. Bet that now, because every year it escapes that somebody in sound check in Arizona or wherever the game is timing this. 100%. I read that when country music dudes are like 2 years ago, Eric Church and somebody else, the average national anthem is 2 minutes and 16 seconds. And that's often because country dudes love to hold a note. And this year, I think the over-under it was 2 minutes flat, but now it's 2 minutes and 5 seconds. So I'm betting the over on that one right now. And it's going to go up, in my opinion, because, again, somebody's going to leak. And to be honest with you, it's Stapleton, right? That's who's singing it. I like that dude, and I don't know country music well. I know he's kind of a old soul and a throwback to, more of a purist, somebody I would like. I'm going back to like Hank Williams, the OG, that type of stuff, Johnny Cash. But I know he's got a hell of a voice. So I'm thinking he's going to hold a note. I'm going over on the national anthem, over 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And I like the over in the game, too. I think Kansas City's over is 23 or 23 and a half.
We haven't got to bet the nuts yet. We haven't got to there yet.
Oh.
Slow your roll.
Shit.
All right.
My bad.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Brandon, what are your prop bets?
All right, I don't have anything fancy like the national anthem. I'm sticking with football, what I know. Trying to make some people some money here. So I like under 5.5 sacks with combined both teams. It's kind of a high number in my opinion. I think Philly, I could see them getting 2, maybe KC getting 1. I don't see 5.5 in this game personally. So that's one of my props. One of my other favorite ones is Devontae Smith to score a touchdown. That's plus 145. He's gets just about as many targets as AJ Brown, and he seems to squirt in the end zone and a little bit longer routes. So I like that one. And then I like Pacheco's rushing over 47.5. We'll talk a little bit later. One of the keys to the game for Kansas City, if they're going to win this game, is the run game, and I think it's going to be Pacheco over 47.5.
All right, clear, concise, and consistent. All right, Tom,
we got a show to get through. We got to hit it now.
Yep.
Well, I'm gonna kind of take a different approach here. I was looking at some of the funny prop bets, and the total points scored, will it be an even or an odd number? The even number had the negative. I forget what the number was, so I'm gonna go with an odd number. The total score, the final score of the big game Super Bowl is going to be an odd number. And then everyone's favorite, what color's the Gatorade? That's what really, the not so quasi football fan is interested. Like, what is Andy Reid? What color is Andy Reid going to be sprayed with Gatorade? Well, it's going to be the red Gatorade. It's in Arizona, the Arizona Cardinals. Bank it, red Gatorade, Andy Reid. Moving on, this one I really like. Well, actually, it's the one that Raj was mentioned. The site I was on, the national anthem, 2 minutes 2 seconds on this site. I think it was FanDuel. I could be wrong for this gentleman right here. Anyways, I'm taking the over. I think it's a sure bet. He's going to run that string a little bit hard. It's going to go over. And the big money bet that I'm going to take, and I thought this was kind of a fun one. Will the 2-minute warning actually land on the 2-minute mark? Plus 410 for the no. I'm going no. Put your money on no. It's going to like 157, 158, 2-minute mark in the first half. Take it to not land exactly on the 2-minute mark.
That was plus what?
Plus 410. Plus 410.
Okay.
So I figured, you know what? If you're a broke sap like myself, throw a few bucks down, maybe you'll win a few bucks. So hey, I thought that was a good one. How often does it actually land on the 2-minute warning?
I like that.
So I thought that was a fun, maybe an easy one to make some money, but knowing my track record on the FanDuel.
Well, because they're not going to let it run out in the first half. The second half they will, but not the first half. I like that bet.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Is that all?
That's it. That's what I got.
All right. So this is what I've got for you guys. I think that this is going to kind of hint towards my bet your nuts. I honestly believe that the Eagles' offensive line is better than the Chiefs' defensive line. And this is where, look, Brady's lost Super Bowls, Mahomes has lost Super Bowls, Manning's lost Super Bowls because the defensive line is better than the offensive line, and vice versa. So I've got my 3 props. I got Hurts scoring 1 touchdown, 550. I've got him scoring 2 touchdowns plus 800. I've got him scoring 3 touchdowns plus 4,100. You connect all those, you're getting yourself rich. But I've got the score being 28-24. So my first touchdown though is AJ Brown at plus 850.
Now, real quick, is that him running the ball or any type of touchdown, throwing or running?
No, I assume that's him running the football.
Okay.
So I think he's going to have 3 running touchdowns. I think they're going to pick a weakness out and they're going to exploit it. And because that's kind of been Andy Reid's weaknesses. Not great at defense. So that's who I'm picking my 3 prop bets. AJ Brown to score the first one. So without further ado, we got 9 minutes left. We have the actual game. And last I checked, let me refresh my browser. The spread is Eagles minus 1.5 and over under 51, it looks like. Raj, we're going straight to you. Who do you like and why?
Dude, I went back and forth on this constantly, and I ended up regretfully, as an AFC West guy, going with the Chiefs. The reason why is I think Mahomes deserves an Oscar, and his ankle is way better than I think that hurt.
KC to win or with the points too?
With the points. I mean, they're 1.5 point underdogs. So
okay, yeah, you're
I'll
right.
take him with the points, but I do think they're going to win, sadly.
Are you betting money? Your bet your nuts is money line?
My bet your nuts and prop was going to be McKinnon, but yes, I mean, go ahead and put me down if it's got to be Super Bowl or KC plus 1.5, just to be safe because I'm usually wrong. At least a little margin for error.
All right, Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, so I did throw my get rich quick prop out there. I know we kind of skipped over it real quick. Dallas Goedert to score the first touchdown, plus 900. I love that bet right there. Down in the red zone for the Eagles. That's my get rich prop bet. I like the Chiefs here. I mean, you've got Mahomes factor. I know you got the number 1 offensive line or defense or defensive line in the Eagles against the Chiefs here. I just think the improvisation, or I can't even say the word. You know what I'm saying? Improvisation. Yes. Sorry. Thank you. Improvisation of Mahomes.
That's the best. It's vegetables.
Yeah, that's right. No, the improvisation of Patrick Mahomes, dude. You just can't stop this guy. I mean, he's throwing it backwards behind the back. He's going to find Kelsey in a hole somewhere, and they're going to get a first down. So I got my money on him. You give him 2 weeks.
Are you going points or money line?
I'll take the points.
All right, plus 1. All right, I like it. Tom?
Well, I liked the Eagles here. I think, and it's going to come down to defense. I think the defensive front from Philadelphia has been on a tear in this playoff run most of the season. And then you second that with the secondary of Darius Big Play Slay, used to play here in Detroit until the smartest man, the old regime, as we say, ran him out of town. And then Marcus Epps, who's a free safety, who's really jumped on the scene this season, making big plays. So I just think you take that and you're going to get Mahomes running around. And yeah, that's what he does best. But is his ankle fixed? I mean, I know they're saying, Rod's saying he's it could be an actor. Who knows? We'll see. But I just think that matchup is a little bit better. And then I think Hurts kind of quieted all the naysayers a couple weeks ago, and his arm and his, I guess, lack of competition 5 weeks prior. So they're on a mission. I think AJ Brown is a machine, and Devonta Smith has really made his way into the conversation as top 10 receivers, maybe top 5 in the NFL. We'll see, but they have a really powerful offense, and I don't think it gets talked about as much as Kansas City. So give me Philly, obviously, to cover. I think they win by, it could be a field goal. It's going to be close. In the over, definitely 51. These teams are going to put up points. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They're going to score, and so yeah, give me Philly to cover. Obviously, the 1.5 and the over, which is 51.
Young quarterbacks with this kind of talent around them win Super Bowls because you can afford to pay the AJ Browns, the Devontae Smiths. You can afford to pay the defensive line, the offensive line. These are the games the best quarterback doesn't always win because the pressure on the offensive defensive line is what matters. Give me Philly. I think Philly wins. I think they cover. And like I said, I think Jalen Hurts is a breakout game just because of the pressure Philly can put on people. And, it's tough. It is tough to cover these stud receivers downfield and have a running quarterback coming out of the backfield. So I like Philly. All right, guys, we got 3 minutes to go. Tom, you're on screen, or you were on screen. What's your last thoughts? And let's wrap it up.
It's exciting time of the year, obviously. And the build up to the Super Bowl usually is the best. But I was thinking the other day, this really is a good matchup. And I think Vegas thinks that too, because right after the matchup was set, it was Philly minus 1.5. It hasn't moved in almost 2 weeks. So I think that tells you where we're at as far as, what Vegas thinks. The matchup is going to be, should be pretty fantastic. You have two high-powered offenses. And look for Jalen Hurts to really make plays with his legs. I think Chris Jones has been dynamite in this playoff for Kansas City, so he's going to push him out of the pocket. But I think he has the ability to make big plays. So just an exciting time, obviously. We're going to find out some awards tonight, the NFL awards. Hopefully my Aiden Hutchinson gets the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Well, let's see about that. But, yeah, fun times. Looking forward to this weekend and rehashing it all up next week.
Shane, to you.
Yeah, exciting times. Super Bowl is always fun. I mean, all these, prop bets they throw out that are crazy. And, now with 36 states that are legalized gambling, it's even more for the books. I'm sure they're pretty excited about this weekend as well. But, final word there, Super Bowl is going to be great, but, let's not take away from LeBron and what he's done on his feet. I mean, that's quite a record that he broke, and I was happy to watch it. I'll forever remember watching that game. So, yeah, looking forward to Super Bowl.
All right, Raj, back to you.
Our preview, because I looked at matchups and did research, and I'll use that now. Why I'm taking the Chiefs plus 1.5. Number one, I mentioned the tight ends and the personnel, and they're going to have Kelsey moving all over the place. And I do think that's going to open up a lot of room also for the two backs, Pacheco and McKinnon, who are scat backs who can do it all. And I like Shane saying about Pacheco getting a lot of rushing yards. I agree. I also think that, with Spags, the Kansas City DC, he's a great coach, and you give him time. His playoff record's great. He's going to sit back and zone, and they've got big physical corners, although they're rookies, so they can press, they can sit back. Hurts is going to try to scramble, but he doesn't check down much, and they know that. And, he's going to be on the move, but all eyes are going to be on him. And let's see about that shoulder. And finally, I love Philly, the sacks, and like the Bengals DC twice. sack-wise. They went after Orlando Brown. But again, Phoebe wants me to hurry up too. I think Reid and them are ready for that. And overall, I just see Kansas City with 2 weeks having more going their way, although I love that Philly team. I got to take the Chiefs. And overall, it's because of matchups. More for them, more in favor of them.
Thank you guys for listening. Again, like and subscribe. Keep getting well, Randall. Thank you guys, and any comments we listen to. And if you want to send us an email, I'm sure we have an email, but we'll work on that if we don't. But anyways, thank you guys for listening. We will be back after the Super Bowl, and then we have a March Madness extended session, and then which will be great, and will be very emotional and very frustrating. And then we have obviously the NFL draft, which the Raiders are going to draft Will Levis, and it will be the greatest on-moment television you will see. I promise you, it's going to be glorious.
It's inevitable, dude. Either him or Richardson.
Roger's face will look like us when we traded A.J. Brown. It's going to be great.
It'll be worse than that.
Like when I saw that mock draft, I was like, please, God, let this happen.
It's inevitable, dude.
Thank you guys for watching.
We'll see you next
I hope Mark Davis is racist. That's a terrible thing to say, but maybe we'll get a new owner.
All right, guys.